Welcome back. You're watching WION World is One with me, Raisha Sehgal, and this is Speed News. Let's get you started. All right, US President Donald Trump has stated that he will not allow Israel to annex the occupied West Bank, a move that Arab leaders have also strongly rejected. Trump made this announcement during a meeting with reporters in the Oval Office, emphasizing that he had discussed the issue with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This stance comes in response to suggestions from some Israeli officials that they might seize control of parts of the West Bank, particularly after countries like the UK, Canada and Australia recognized Palestinian statehood. Pro-Palestinian and pro-Israel demonstrators gathered outside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's hotel in New York City. That's ahead of his address to the United Nations General Assembly. While pro-Palestinian demonstrators are demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and recognition of Palestinian statehood, pro-Israel demonstrators are supporting Netanyahu's stance against Palestinian statehood while calling for the release of Israeli hostages held in Gaza. Netanyahu is expected to discuss the ongoing Gaza war and the recent recognition of a Palestinian state by several Western countries, including France and Britain, with US President Donald Trump when he meets him on Monday. Israel has strongly criticized Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas for wearing a key-shaped pin during his UN address, claiming it symbolizes his goal of erasing Israel. The key pin was a symbol for Palestinians, representing the right of return for those displaced during the 1948 Arab-Israel conflict. Abbas wore the pin during his recorded speech at the UNGA, where he addressed the international community on Palestinian rights and heritage. Abbas has rejected equating support for Palestine with anti-Semitism. Yemen's Houthis say Israeli strikes on Sana'a killed at least 8 people and wounded more than 140. The attacks targeted multiple locations, including residential areas and a detention facility, causing widespread damage and destruction. Footage showed buildings in ruins, rubble-strewn streets, and emergency responders searching for victims. At hospital, medics were seen tending to injured people. The strikes came a day after Houthis launched a drone attack on southern Israel. US President Donald Trump has signed an executive order allowing TikTok to continue operating in the US, addressing national security concerns. Trump joked about making the platform 100% MAGA, but emphasized that all philosophies and policies will be treated fairly. The new US company will be majorly owned by American investors, with ByteDance holding less than 20% stake. Valuing TikTok at $14 billion, Vice President J.D. Vance said that the deal ensures that American investors will actually control TikTok's algorithm, assessing content on the app. He said more information about the deal will be revealed in the coming days. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar co-hosted the India SICA Foreign Ministers meeting in New York with Panama's Foreign Minister Javier Martinez, focusing on strengthening ties in digital transformation, energy, food and health security, and even climate action, building on the momentum of the 2023 dialogue in Panama City. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted on charges of making false statements and obstruction of justice. The indictment stems from Comey's 2020 testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee, where he allegedly lied about authorizing leaks to the media regarding the Russia investigation. This case marks the first time a former senior government official has been prosecuted in connection with Trump's grievances about the 2016 election probe. He faces up to 5 years in prison if convicted. Trump hailed indictment, calling it justice in America. Russian President Vladimir Putin met with International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi at the Kremlin, highlighting Russia's long-standing cooperation with the agency since its inception in 1957. Putin emphasized Russia's active role in addressing global nuclear challenges, while Grossi praised Russia's leadership in advancing nuclear energy projects worldwide through Rosatom. The meeting followed the World Atomic Forum in Moscow, which brought together leaders and representatives from various countries, including Belarus, Myanmar, Ethiopia and Iran. The forum marked the 80th anniversary of Russia's nuclear industry, focusing on the future of nuclear technologies and sustainable development. All right, China's Shenzhou 20 crew has successfully completed their 4th spacewalk, marking a major milestone in the 6-month mission aboard the Tiangong space station. The astronauts worked outside the station for about 6 hours, completing tasks such as installing debris protection devices and also inspecting external equipment. The crew has stayed in orbit for more than 150 days, carrying out a large number of scientific experiments and technological tests. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney welcomed Irish Taoiseach Michael Martin to Ottawa, highlighting the strong bonds between Canada and Ireland, with over 4.5 million Canadians of Irish descent. The two leaders emphasized their shared commitment to peace, reconciliation and economic cooperation. Since the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement took effect in 2017, bilateral trade has surged, with Canada-Ireland merchandise trade growing by 98.5%. A Qantas Airways flight from Sydney to Auckland made an emergency landing at Auckland Airport on Friday after a potential fire alert in the cargo hold prompted the pilot to make a mayday call. According to airlines, initial investigations suggested it was likely a false alarm and no fire was detected in the front cargo hold. The Boeing 737 aircraft carrying 156 passengers and crew members landed safely, with all passengers disembarking without incident. A devastating accident occurred in southern Peru involving a Bolivian musical group's minivan and 2 cargo trucks. According to reports, initial investigation suggested that the minivan collided with a trailer while a third parked trailer with heavy machinery obstructed the road. The crash resulted in 14 fatalities. Emergency services recovered the bodies and transported the injured to nearby health posts. Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense says it has detected 11 People Liberation Army aircraft, 7 People Liberation Army Navy vessels and 1 official ship operating around Taiwan. It claimed that 9 PLA aircraft crossed the median line and entered Taiwan's Northern Air Defense Identification Zone. Taiwan's armed forces have responded accordingly to monitor and ensure the situation. A tragic accident occurred at the WION Forest Monastery in northwestern Sri Lanka, where a cable-pulled rail car carrying Buddhist monks snapped and then crashed down a mountainside. The incident resulted in the death of 7 monks, including 3 foreigners from India, Russia and Romania. According to reports, the monks had gathered at the monastery for meditation retreats. A new museum dedicated to Frida Kahlo opened its doors in Mexico City, offering a glimpse into celebrated artist Kahlo's private life and the family that shaped her iconic legacy. The Kahlo Museum, inaugurated by Kahlo's relatives, showcases artifacts, letters and pictures highlighting Kahlo's family, life and relationships. It also showcases negatives by Guillermo Kahlo, Frida's father and mentor, who introduced her to art. Notable exhibits include a pre-Hispanic necklace she often wore and other indigenous clothing on display for the first time. The museum aims to share the human Frida beyond her public persona. Sandro Dias, a 50-year-old Brazilian skateboarder, broke 2 Guinness World Records by achieving the tallest drop in and fastest speed on a skateboard. He skated down a 22-story building in Porto Alegre, reaching speeds over 130 kilometers per hour and completing a drop-in of 88.91 meters. Dias trained extensively for the feat, starting with drops from 55 meters and gradually increasing the height. Microsoft has said that it has disabled services to an Israeli military unit after finding its AI and cloud goods were used for mass surveillance of Palestinians. The move follows reports by the Associated Press and The Guardian, which revealed Israel's defense ministry had relied on Microsoft's Azure platform during the war in Gaza and the occupation of West Bank. Azure subscriptions were also linked to Unit 8200, an elite cyber warfare division. That's following AP's report. Microsoft acknowledged in May that it had sold advanced AI and cloud computing services to the Israeli military during the Gaza war. But the company said an internal review found no evidence its Azure platform was used to target or harm people. On Thursday afternoon, emergency call services, including 911, were disrupted for more than 2 hours in Louisiana and Mississippi. Officials blamed damage to AT&T's fiber optic lines. The Mississippi Emergency Management Agency said that the damage impacted 911 services statewide. In Louisiana, cities including Baton Rouge and New Orleans also reported outages. Outage reports first surfaced around 2 p.m. local time. By 4:45, an AT&T said its service had been restored during the outage. Law enforcement agencies across both the states urged residents to call local phone numbers in case of an emergency. On September 5th, the AI company Anthropic agreed to pay $1.5 billion to a group of authors and publishers after a judge ruled it had illegally downloaded and stored millions of copyrighted books. A U.S. federal judge has now approved the deal. Under the agreement, Anthropic will pay about $3,000 per book, covering some 465,000 works. The payment does not extend to future publications. The involvement parties assured the judge that the group negotiating the deal was not engaged in any backroom arrangements. Asian markets stumbled on Friday after US President Donald Trump announced a fresh wave of tariffs on key imports, including 100% duties on branded drugs and also hefty tariffs on trucks, kitchen cabinets and furniture, all set to start October 1st. Japan's Topix Pharma Index fell 1.4% and shares of Australian biotech firm CSL dropped over 3%. The Nikkei declined 0.5%, while broader Asia-Pacific shares were also lower. Markets also reacted to reduced expectations of aggressive US Federal Reserve rate cuts, and this following stronger than expected economic data that highlighted the resilience of the US economy. Traders now price in fewer rate cuts by year end, weighing on risk appetite and lifting the US dollar. Oil prices rose on Friday, heading for the biggest weekly gain since June, driven by Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian energy infrastructure and Moscow's move to limit fuel exports. Brent crude climbed 0.2% to $69 a barrel, while US crude rose 0.4% to $65. Russia announced a partial ban on diesel exports and an extension of gasoline export restrictions, pushing it closer to cutting crude output due to refining capacity issues. Despite strong US economic growth, which could limit further Fed rate cuts, oil prices remain supported by supply concerns and recent drops in US crude inventories. All right, gold is set for a sixth straight weekly gain, driven by a cautious market mood and strong inflows into gold-backed ETFs. Investors are seeking safe havens amid geopolitical tensions and concerns over the US economy. Spot gold is trading near record high as demand for stability rises. Gold ETFs have attracted major investment, highlighting growing confidence in gold as a secure asset during economic uncertainty. This ongoing trend shows that many investors prefer gold to shield themselves from market volatility. With that, we slip into a very short break. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION World. Stay tuned.